Listen, you've been taught how to visualize it, how to believe it, how to speak it, but you're asking yourself, why hasn't my dreams and goals and aspirations come into manifestation yet? And it's because you are missing this final part. And once you put this final part in place, this is what's going to allow you to actually start bringing things into fruition. This is what's going to allow you to start experiencing the things that you're designed to experience. And this final part is completion. And today I'm going to break down why completion is the final part of manifestation and why you must put this in place in order to really, truly bring your dreams, your visions, and your goals into reality. So listen, if you wanted to have more money, if you wanted to have more success, and if you wanted to experience the things that are in your mind, then this is the video for you. And once you put this in place, everything is going to start making sense, y'all. So before we get into it, listen, my name is Kasudi, and I've been blessed to coach high-level 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs and speak on stages all around this world, helping people discover their purpose and live in it. So like this video, subscribe, comment, and for those that want to go deeper, click the link in my bio. I'm so tired of this 6'7". All right, y'all, so let's get into it today. Completion is the last part of manifestation. So firstly, why is completion so important? Well, number one is completion creates confidence. Completion creates confidence. It also creates creation as well. But let's talk about the confidence. Is most people, you don't feel the confidence that you have is because you've never followed through with the things that you said you want to do. And what this makes happen is that every time you don't follow through with the things you say you're going to do, which is your word, it actually makes you weaker. Because you say something, but then you do something else, which means that you don't hold any power. You deserve to feel the feeling of completion, which means you deserve to feel the feeling of the opposite end of your manifestations. My question to you is this: when is the last time you actually completed a goal? When's the last time you say, yo, this is what I'm going to do, and you stuck to it despite the uncomfortability, despite the awkward feeling of doing it, despite all the resistance that comes up? You see, you will never be confident in what is it that you say if you don't do what is it that you say. And see, where most people go wrong is like you think your word is something you just give out haphazardly. So people are so used to, in this society that we live into, giving out their word, but not seeing the completion of their word. And even in the Bible, it says when you give your word out, it must come to pass. But is that your word constantly changes. So you say in one moment, I'm going to do something, but then when that thing arises, in the next moment, you do something completely different. And the moment you do that, you have lost power in yourself. You have lost power in your identity. You have lost power in your word because you know you're not living in alignment with the thing that you said you're going to do. And this is why completion is so important, because if you don't keep your word on a micro level, then how are you going to keep your word on the things you want to manifest? So even with my clients, the agreements that we have is, the way that we work is I'm never going to tell you specifically just what to do. Right? Is that I'm going to invite you and allow you to see something, and you're going to choose if you do it or not. But what we're going to do is we're going to make an agreement. So I'm going to say, listen, can you have this done by the next time we talk? And you can say, no, Kasudi, I can't have it done. Or you can say, yes, Kasudi, I can have it done. But if you say, yes, you're going to have it done, then I expect that the next time we talk for you to have that done. And if you can't keep your micro commitments, then how is it that you're going to keep the commitment that, this is going to be my $1 million year, or this year I'm going to take my business from 1 million to 3 million, or this is going to be my first 6 figures year? You see, is you want to keep the commitment and you want to know that the big goals and things are going to happen, but you're not keeping your word or your commitments on a daily basis. So you need to look at your life and say, where am I not bringing things to completion on a small level? Did I say I'm going to make the videos and I didn't make it? Did I say I'm going to the gym? I'm not going to the gym. Did I say, listen, I'm going to speak this to a certain person, but I'm not speaking it? Did I say I'm going to create this certain boundaries, but I'm not creating it? Like, where are you not keeping your word and bringing your word to completion on a small level? Because wherever you're not doing that, you're lacking confidence. But here's the difference, is that when you start bringing things to completion, completion creates momentum. It creates momentum. It's one of the laws of physics. An object in motion, it stays in motion. A lot of y'all ain't got no motion because you're not in motion and you're not completing and keep staying in motion. So you're not letting the unfolding of creation to happen. You see, there's an unfolding that takes place when you start completing things. Because the moment you complete one thing, it reveals something else. And you complete that and it unveils something else. And you complete that and it unveils something else. And it's like this beautiful unfolding, right? It's like me going to Tulum, right? I didn't go to Tulum just to go. I went because it was my partner's birthday, so I was taking her to Tulum for her birthday. So now that I go to Tulum, right, it feels like, yo, listen to that and go to Tulum. I go to Tulum. And it's like, yo, well, go talk to this person. And I talk to this person. And then it's like, yo, go make a video and say you want to bring clients out to Tulum and I make this video. So what happened with me just going there for a week, now I've been there for a month. And I have a bunch of clients coming down. And by the time I left, me just doing that would have made me multiple six figures, if not seven figures by the time I leave Tulum, just off of me letting the unfolding of creation happening. Yo, go talk to these people. Go tell this person about your goals. Go make this post. And while I'm doing that, the unfolding is taking place. So now I'm meeting with CEOs. Now I'm meeting with owners of resorts. Now I'm meeting with event planners. Now I'm meeting with the people who run the town and they have all the connections. Now I'm meeting with all these different type of people because I'm allowing the unfolding of creation to take place because I'm completing what God is telling me to do. Talk to this person, I talk to that person, that is complete. Go here, I did that, that is complete. Launch a retreat, I do that, that is complete. Sign this lease, I do that, that is complete. You have to complete the things that you set out to do. Or else you're never going to have confidence and you're never going to build momentum. And that's what you're looking to create in your life. And at the end result of it, at the end of the day, once you have that momentum, what it does is, and you do that unfolding of creation and you follow it for so long, it's going to be where your completion is what actually creates the result. It's what creates the result. Imagine like telling God, hey, God, I want to harvest this season. And you plant the seeds and you water it and you speak life into it. But then when the fruit comes into fruition, you don't go and pick the fruit. That's what a lot of you guys are doing. You're like, God, I want to harvest. I'm hungry. Please let my life be fruitful. And God's like, yo, listen, you've done all the different type of things. Some of you have started the business. You've got the logo. You've made the content. You just haven't posted the content. Or maybe you made the content. People are reaching out, but you're not reaching back out to them. Or maybe you're like, yo, I have this idea, but you're scared to film the content and put it out. But you're like, God, I want to speak on stages, but you're not even putting your content out. Right? So it's like, how is it that you're going to have the results that you desire if you're not completing anything? It's the final part of manifestation. Yes, you can do all the kumbaya, you can do all the visualizing, you can do all the meditation, you can do all the saging, you can do all the spiritual alignment. But if you don't bring something into completion, you are not going to have the results that you desire to have in your life. You must bring things into completion in order to experience the result. So if you don't have the results that you desire to have in your life right now, maybe you're lacking money, maybe you're lacking fulfillment, maybe you're lacking alignment, maybe you're lacking happiness, joy, those internal states, it's because you're not completing something. Maybe you haven't forgave that person. Maybe you haven't launched that business. Maybe you haven't went and made that difference and that impact. Maybe you haven't reached out to that person. Maybe you haven't submitted that application. There's something that God is telling you to do that you haven't done it. But see here, this is why most people are not completing things in their life. Number one is that you stop too early in the process. So you're one of those people who you start and you stop. You start and you stop. You start and you stop. So you have all these little projects. Yeah, some of you feeling this right now. Right? I can feel that. Some of you are like, yo, this is me. You have all these little projects that you started, but nothing has actually been brought to completion. You haven't ended anything. You're just starting everything, but you're not completing anything. And it's because during the project, during it, you start getting discouraged. You start figuring out, is this ever going to work? But I love the analogy of the Chinese bamboo tree, right? So the Chinese bamboo tree, the philosophy behind it, right, is the Chinese bamboo tree, you plant the seed. You have to cover up the seed. You have to water it and soil it and nourish it for 5 to 7 years before it ever breaks the ground. But the thing that's happening that most people don't see is, or well, let me say it like this. Well, I love to think about the Chinese bamboo tree. You see, the Chinese bamboo tree is you plant a seed of the Chinese bamboo tree. You got to plant this seed under the ground, and you have to nourish it, water it, cultivate it for 5 to 7 years before it ever breaks the ground. But the moment it breaks the ground, it's one of the highest growing trees, it's one of the fastest growing trees, and it has the strongest bark that there is. And most people, they want that, right? You want the finances, you want the platform, you want the status, you want the admiration, you want all the outwardly things. But what people are not seeing on the opposite end is as the Chinese bamboo tree is in that soil for the last 5 to 7 years, it's actually grounding itself and going feet and feet and feet into the earth inwardly. So that way, by the time it breaks out outwardly, it has the internal foundation in order to sustain the outwardly success, the outwardly motion of it, right? So it's a two-part thing. But what you're only seeing, the reason you're stopping is because you're not seeing the internal person that God is wanting you to create before you have the external result. So you stop because you're not seeing the external result. But you're not seeing that the actual reason that you shouldn't stop is because that moment that you're feeling to stop, God is trying to reveal you to yourself. So maybe God is like, you need more belief in yourself. You need more confidence in yourself. You need more consistency. You need more structure. I want you to cultivate and become the person necessary in order to have the success. And guys, do you not I hope you get what I just said. If God is wanting you to become the person necessary to have the success, that means God is wanting to complete you first in order to bring into fruition the results of the things that you desire. So you see how completion still has to happen first before the manifestation takes part. But what's stopping you from doing that is because you're treating God's ideas as instructions. So this is making you bounce around, and this is why you are just starting something but not finishing it. What do I mean by this? Is that there's a difference of having an idea to having an instruction. You see, you could have an idea, but when you have an idea, you could think maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea. Maybe it's not going to work out, maybe it will work out. Maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should start it, maybe I should go do something else. But as an instruction from God, it's not something that you just start and stop. It's something that you follow because you know every instruction produces an end result. If I had an instruction for cooking, you're going to expect that at the opposite end of that instruction is the meal. If I had an instruction for putting something together, you're going to assume that the opposite end of that instruction is the thing put together. So if God has an instruction for your business, an instruction for your purpose, an instruction for your life, then you have to presuppose that at the end of that, there has to be the manifestation of the thing that I desire to have. But when you don't look at it as an instruction, you're going to stop because you're going to think it's something that you could choose to do or not to do instead of this is the thing that I'm being called to do. This is the thing that I was created to do. God, listen, the reason that I've been able to have the success that I have is because I know my purpose is an instruction. I don't treat it like an idea. I don't have a fantastic idea to help people discover and live in their. That's God's instruction to me. That's not my idea. I don't have an idea that it's a great idea to speak on stages and to coach people and help people. That was a terrible idea. I was out of jail, a felon, multiple felonies, a background of selling drugs. That would be a dumb idea to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to teach people how to live a life of fulfillment. And they're like, yo, bro, you was a convict. I could have did real estate. I could have did a lot of other things than to say, you know what, I'm going to speak on stages and coach people. And at one point in the people's life, people are going to be paying me tens of thousands of dollars to work with me in person. I'm going to be getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to do a speech and eventually 6 figures to do those things and make over 7 figures doing all this. That would not have been the best idea at that point in time in my life. But it wasn't an idea. It was an instruction. And you know it's an instruction because it's the thing on your spirit that never leaves you. I want you to ask yourself, what has been that thing on your spirit? What has been that idea that has never left? What has been the idea that you said, Kasudi, something's been telling me this for so long. I've had this idea. I've had this book idea. I've had this business idea. I've had this cause that I want to advocate for. I hate that people are experiencing this problem in this world, and I want to be the person to solve that problem. What is that idea that you've been having? Because that idea is no longer an idea. It is an instruction. And if you don't start treating it as an instruction, then you're not going to reap the benefit and the outcome and the result of it. And this is why you don't have the fruitful life that you're having right now, that you're experiencing right now. It's because you're not treating it as an instruction. You see, when you treat it as an instruction, you go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, until you get to completion of it. But you're completing step by step by step. And you're not bouncing around. So guys, it's time for you to start treating your idea as an instruction and completing each phase of the way, seeing it all the way through in order to really start manifesting the reality that you desire to experience in your life. Because until you do this, you're always going to live in the gap of life. And the gap is what you're living in right now. See, the gap is when you're like, yo, I know there's more for my life that I'm not currently experiencing. Maybe I have the finances, but I don't have the fulfillment because I'm not taking action on the purpose that God has given me. Maybe I don't have knowledge of self because I'm not getting that coaching. I'm not getting that help. I'm not bringing that to a completion. Let me reach out to somebody. Let me make the deposit. Let me start working with that person. Let me do the thing that God is telling me to do. You're living in the gap. And in the gap is where you're going to experience all anxiety, all discomfort, all depression, all sadness, all just lack of fulfillment, all stuckness, all procrastination. All that lives in the gap. And it's the gap between the life that you have right now and the life that you know God has called you to be. And the only way to get through that gap is action. It is completion of the things that are inside of it. So if you're ready to stop living in the gap, then you're like, Kasudi, it's time for me to complete some things. But in order to complete some things, I need to have a deeper knowledge of self. Because if you don't know who you are, you're never going to complete things in your life. If you don't know what your purpose is, you're never going to complete things in your life. Because you're not going to be certain in the thing that you're doing is the thing that God has actually called you to do. So you need knowledge of self and you need knowledge of your purpose. Those are the two greatest things that you must do in order to start completing things in your life. And if you're wanting more knowledge of yourself, if you're wanting more knowledge of your purpose, if you're wanting more connection to the God outside of yourself just as much as the God within, then I want you to click the link below, apply to work with me, and let's get on a call and see how is it that we could start getting you in alignment so that way you could bring the things that you have in your mind to completion, to fruition, so you can start experiencing a full life of finances, an abundance of finances, an abundance of spiritual alignment, and in personal fulfillment, living in your purpose, living for the reason that God has called you to be in this world. And if you want to experience that, have the fulfillment, have the happiness, have the confidence, have the money in all aspects, then click the link below. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Guys, listen, if this was of value to you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write in the comments, what is the idea that you've been having that after watching this video, you're like, Kasudi, maybe that's no longer an idea. This may be an instruction and I'm going to start taking action on that. I want you to put in a comment, what is the idea that you need to start treating as instruction, right? Like this video, subscribe, turn on the notifications, y'all. I post 2 videos a week from here on out. So make sure you have your notifications on so you don't miss the videos. You're the first person to get access to it, right? For those that want to go deeper, click the link in my bio. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, y'all. Have a fantastic day. Peace.